Ephesians 3 and verse 20. The words of the Apostle Paul to the church of Ephesus. Now to him who is able. Just stop right there. How many know he's able? No matter what you're going through in your life, he's able. He's able and he's willing too, by the way, to do immeasurably. That means if you can measure it, you still hadn't got to God. One translation says exceedingly. He doesn't just meet your need, but he exceeds the need. He's a God that does and then some for your life. Aren't you thankful he didn't just come and save you, but he came to bless you and set you free and deliver you and heal you and immeasurably more than we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us. Today, we're kicking off a brand new series, theme, thought. We're calling it Imagine, and we're going to focus, and over the next few weeks, we're believing that God's going to help us start seeing how he sees and start seeing what he sees. Because if you can have the ability to see what God sees, you'll make right business deals, you'll parent healthy, you'll have a healthy marriage, you'll have a healthy walk, you'll make right choices and right decisions. If we are able to go beyond the natural sight, 2020, next year, perfect vision. Perfect vision is when you can see the unseen. If you can tap in and see things in the spirit, come on, he begins to manifest it in the flesh. And the Bible is full of stories of God trying to get his people to see what he sees. Abraham, come out. Look at the stars. Look at the sand. He told Joshua, look, I've given you the city. Look, before he even got the city, before the walls ever fell for Joshua, he said, look, can you get a vision? Can you see what I've already done? He told Isaiah in Isaiah 43, he said, I've done some great things in your past. I've made a way where there was no way. I've been God. I've been faithful. Then he said, forget the former things. See, I do a new thing now. See, do you see it? If you can see it, I don't want to sound too motivational this morning, but if you can see it, you can be it. You can have what you see. And of course, the disciples in John 4, they were thinking about food. Jesus is thinking about the harvest. And Jesus said, say not 4 more months and then the harvest. Open your eyes. See, I've given you the harvest now. The harvest is ready, but the laborers are few. And like I've often said, you never state the obvious. Right? If it was obvious that the harvest was ready, he never would have said the harvest is ready. It's possible that the harvest can be ready and we can miss it. It's possible that opportunity can come in disguise as an offering. Opportunity can come in disguise as opposition. And if we're not careful, we can miss our opportunity because we're only focused on seeing things in the natural. But he said, say not 4 more months in the harvest. Behold, I'm doing a new thing now. I want to give you the harvest field now. The harvest is ready. It's never been the harvest problem, and it's been a heart problem. It's never been a harvest problem on his end. It's always been a heart problem on our end. And I'm believing over the next few weeks, we're going to begin to see how God sees us. We're going to begin to see our strengths, our gifts, our talents, our abilities, but watch this, also our storms, our valleys, our shortcomings, our challenges. We're going to begin to see others the way God sees others, the hurting, the harvest, the last, the lost, the least. And I believe as we do that, a runner, they said a runner's chances of making it to the finish line increase drastically when he comes around that last corner and he can see it. If you can see it, the Bible says without vision, the people perish. Or one person said they go to another parish. And the reason we cast off restraint and burn out and give out and die out is because we don't have vision. But when we have vision, it increases our chances of making it to the finish line because we got vision. Walt Disney passed away just a few months before the grand opening of Disney World in Orlando, Florida there. And at the grand opening, the big parade they were having down Main Street in Magic Kingdom there, Walt Disney's brother looks at Walt's widow wife and says, wow, wouldn't it have been amazing if Walt could have seen this? She said, oh, don't you understand? He did see it. That's why it's here. 15 years ago today, tonight, on our pastor's blessing. We were youth pastors in Longview, Texas. About 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I can go exit an hour and a half if the cops aren't on the road. We drove down for the first time with our pastor's blessing. We were youth pastors at a great church. And I talked to my pastor. I said, I believe that God's calling us to do something, a fresh work, a new work in the Dallas area. I'm not sure what it is. Would you be, if I kept my responsibilities up around here through the week and still showed up on Sunday mornings and did my thing there, would you be okay with me going down on Sunday afternoons? And he blessed it. And I think one of the reasons God blessed our church is because we didn't steal one, we started one. And a lot of you, if you would get underneath the surface and see the fastest growing churches in America, usually it's because they stole a few churches and they called it planting. Just being real. I'm not envious, I'm not mad, I'm not bitter. I'm just telling you the truth. And I believe the reason God's blessed this has been very, very, very pure. We didn't go down the street and start one. We went down to Forney, Texas. And we began to call people out of the phone book. Hey, I'm starting a church. Are you interested? Sunday afternoon, about 6 or 7 straight Sundays, the worst storms, pouring down, raining. Sydney, that just sang up here, she was 4. Ashton was 2. And Eden wasn't even a year old. And I would say we started our church, and it was even harder because we had young kids. And it was just not the timing that we felt, but God was doing something. And we drove down, and I kid you not, 6 or 7 straight Sunday afternoons, the worst rain. It was nice all week. And it would rain and storm. Leanne and I would have the worst fights because she had issues back then, and I've really helped her a lot over the past 15 years. But back then she had issues, and we would talk through those issues in intense conversation, going from Longview to here, and the baby's crying in the back seat, and I'm like, who am I kidding? Nobody even cares if I go. It's not like there's a church waiting on me. There was nobody there. I want you to put the picture up of the conference room we started in. We started in that room right off Beltline, La Quinta Inn. I think it was Country Inn and Suites, maybe vice versa. But that's the little room, no bigger really than this stage. And we had 5 people. And we began to pray and ask God every Sunday night. We began to ask God, give us more. And, we didn't read. The 5 we had said, hey, surely you can bring one person. You can tell somebody at work this week. And we finally, about 7 weeks later, we had a big friend night. We said, everybody that comes to church tonight, I'm going to buy them Spring Creek barbecue. And so afterwards, we had 23 people there, and we had 2 or 3 gave their lives to the Lord that night. And we drove to Spring Creek Barbecue. I remember loading up people, kids, and everybody in my Hummer. I had a Hummer back then. I could afford one before I started this church. And we went to Spring Creek, and we said, okay, we're going to pray and fast over the holidays and seek God and see if God's really in this. In January of 2005, we felt the urging, felt the nudging of the Holy Spirit. I was on a 21-day fast, and I said, God, you're going to have to help me because that Hummer payment ain't cheap. I'm going to have to sell that Hummer. Sure enough, we sold it for more than top dollar. We actually sold it for more than we were asking. That's another glory story there. And then we needed to sell a custom home, Leanne's dream home we had just built back in that October, November, and we felt, okay, well, obviously we can't live here. We got to move. So and believe it or not, once again, another glory story. God just miraculously caused us to sell that house. And I remember driving down February 1st, 2005. Once again, it was pouring down rain, and we were in a U-Haul truck and didn't know where we were going to live. I started calling builders around here saying, would you let me move in tonight? They said, that's not how it works. You got to go to the title company. You got to close. You got to do it. And I said, well, you're not the one then. I kept calling around. Finally, I found somebody that said, they said, if you give us $7,000 deposit, we'll let you move in it. And if you close, you'll get it back. But if you don't, it's ours. And the rest is history. I said, okay, I'll give it. And so we were able to get in our house. And we had Easter Sunday. I'm going quickly, but I just want to it's important for you to know where you came from. Easter 2005, we started this church. And we needed an imagination. I remember even in that conference room, I remember saying one day, and I began to preach to the balcony. And there was 8 of us, 9 of us, 10 of us. But you had to have a vision, is what I'm trying to say. You had to have an imagination, a spiritual imagination. You had to see what God sees. If you want to see, eventually see, then you got to see. now. And so we did. We started Easter 2005. We had 57 people. Easter Sunday 2005. We thought we had a mega church going on, man. Most of them were Leanne's family in Carrollton and Farmers Branch that felt sorry for us. But hey, we'll take it, right? And the next Sunday went from 57. We grew it all the way down to 39. And the next Sunday, 27, 29, 27, 19. 17, 16. Now, I want to remind you, I had just had youth group a few months earlier and had 2,600 kids show up for youth group. Not inflated numbers. 750 of them gave their lives to Christ at Pine Tree High School that night. And we had big events, huge. We had a place inside the Longview Mall and called 180, remodeled it and everything. Had a youth church, had basketball courts, video games, all that stuff. But we had a massive sanctuary as well. And we were reaching thousands of kids. And then I come down and kids and all, babies. I mean, if somebody was pregnant, we prophesying twins, triplets, you know. If we saw a mosquito, we'd say, hey, they count, you know. And we were counting everybody. And for the longest time, we averaged about 20 people. We've never had that big increase of people. But God's always been faithful. And so over the next few months, we finally moved into the brand new theater. They had just opened it, Starplex at the time, and we moved in there. That was about a year of hell because we had to be out at a certain time. So I had to tell people, no, you can't fellowship. No, I need you. By the way, I need you. If you're sitting around, you're leaning, you're cleaning. Come on, help us. We got to break everything down. I would have to tell a first-time guest, no, we don't talk here. We work. I mean, it was awful. Because if I didn't do that, I had people out there with their popcorn and candy trying to get in the movie, and they're cussing me out. For real. For real. I'm like, I am a preacher. I am a man of God. You don't use that kind of language around me. They didn't care. And so we're right in the middle. It was just awful. Finally got open the door at Blackburn Elementary. We were in there for a couple years. We went through a situation, some struggles, and I went to work out one day, and a guy named Red Whaley, he's passed on now, and his family attends with us, and he was putting chains on the doors of a health club, and I said, would you rent this to a church? And he said, I'll get it to the first person who gets me some money. And so I went and got him a personal $3,500 check, deposit, and said, it's ours now, and we were able to get in it. I'm just wondering, raise your hand if you were in that building. If you ever came to that building, even one time, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. That's awesome. That's great. So we had a few people there. Second service, we'll have some that were there as well. And we were there for 2 years, and once again, we had to have a vision because we needed $50,000 to remodel that place. That was like a stretch. I remember I used to have a slogan, if it ain't free, it ain't for me. And we had to get donations. I remember the sanctuary, the size of the sanctuary in that old building, the whole sanctuary was this right here, a third of what we have now. I remember when we moved in here, I was like, God, you're going to have to give me a vision all over again, an imagination, an ability to see what you see, because I don't know how in the world we're going to fill this thing up. Now, if you ever come to the second service, you'll see it full, refuel, other events, different times, you know, not just Easter. But we're seeing a continuously, consistently full house now. And to God be all the glory. And we've seen some great results. I mean, every Sunday we're seeing lives change. Over 228 decisions in the past 6 weeks for Christ. Come on, somebody. God has been doing an amazing thing at Free Life, Restoration, Healing, and Hope, the diversity. I remember when Ernest, stand up real quick. Ernest was one of the founding, I'm talking about, he wasn't here, but I'm talking about a few weeks after we came, he started coming, him and his family. And Ernest, I honor you today. Besides my family and Leanne and Mary and Cecil, Ernest, you've been here longer than anybody. And I remember when Ernest came, he was the first black person that came to Free Life. So I put him on every brochure we had. I put him on our social media. I mean, not our social media, but our website. I wanted people to see that what we had a vision for, diversity. Listen, we don't tolerate, well, it's all right, but I got to worship with black, brown, and white people around here. No, it's not something we tolerate at Free Life. We celebrate the diversity. We celebrate the black, brown, white, rich, poor, young, old. Come on, Catholics, Pentecostals, Baptists, Nazarenes, and Tangerines, right? We're all going to the same heaven, and God has been faithful. Of course, they talked about refuel earlier, and Sydney said hundreds. I would say multiplied thousands and maybe millions of people have been impacted in the past 4 to 5 years. 4 years now we've done refuel because of all of the impact we've made on pastors and, I mean, leaders. The government leader in Africa, Zambia. We have 4, which you don't know because a lot of times I can't say it for security reasons. But 2 years ago, not this one, but the last one, we had 4 of the highest government officials in Zambia that was here in Refuel with us. Not just pastors, but leaders in that nation. And so we've seen a great impact. You know, the way we give around here outside of this house, we believe in helping our own and reaching locally, but also globally and reaching the world. You know, Jesus said in Acts 1:8, you shall receive power. Somebody say power. Because I think you need to know where the money goes. Every now and then, we'll have somebody in need. Jesus said, you shall receive power when the Holy Spirit comes on you, and you shall be my witnesses. Watch this. He said, this is Acts 1:8, and you shall be my witnesses where? In Jerusalem, all of Judea and Samaria, and the othermost parts of the world. So we believe in balance around here. Somebody shout balance. So I believe if Jesus was here today, he would say, you shall be my witnesses in Forney, but also in Dallas and around the country, and the othermost parts of the world. So that's what we do. We don't forget our own to reach the world, but we also not all about us for no more either. We got a world to reach. Just show that real quick, the local impact. Look at this local impact that you have made with your tithes and offerings from Forney, Texas, Dallas, Waco, Houston. I mean, we're partners with Restored Hope Ministry in Dallas. I witnessed, have seen the impact of Joel Osteen's ministry down in Lakewood, and we're partners with them. I mean, we got ministries going on all around the country. Center for National Renewal in Washington, D.C., Mike and Kathy Hayes. You are a part of that. I just want you to see that when you give to Free Life Church, it matters. It matters. Some of these ministries and churches, like our friends in Cleveland, Tennessee, Dustin and Sarah Wilson, are on their 4th or 5th Sunday now. They just started a church. And you and I gave them $10,000 to do it. Now, that ain't much. They needed about $300,000. And I think they got about $250,000. But we had a part in that. And so you need to know the impact you're making. Show the global impact. So we're reaching locally, but we're also reaching globally. This is the global impact from live streams to actual mission giving to the Next Level Network that I'm the president founder of. India, Dubai, Cambodia, South Korea, Uganda, Nigeria, Israel, the Philippines, Spain, Colombia. It's an amazing thing what God has allowed us to do. Can you just stop right there and let's just give him a great hand for what he has already allowed us to do? Come on, I say that humbly. It's not because of us, but he's blessed us so we can be a blessing. Now, after 15 years, we're once again at a place in this ministry where we stopped growing. Well, Pastor, that's not exciting news. Well, it's just reality. Show my graph up there. A few years ago, we went from 300 to 800 in about 6 weeks. Look at the increase. But then, since we've hit that mark now, monthly, overall, about 1,100 people call Free Life their home. Isn't that amazing? But our average weekly attendance, you can see it up there. But you see the slight decrease? I want to talk about that a second. Leave that slide up there for a second. Back in January, or February, I should say, we connected with a church consulting ministry that knows their stuff. They really do. And they came in and did an analysis on us. And they said, without question, the only reason you're not growing exponentially right now is because of space. And they began to show us the demographics of you can't put people, if you park, on Wednesday night, they told me, Wednesday night the parking lot was full and the crowd was about like this at best. And so if you take away this parking over here on Sundays, we're in trouble. How many know we should never rely on a business and their parking? But we're Kids' Life right now, just with this crowd right here. Imagine what the second service is like. The first service, imagine this right here, and Kids' Life is full right now. I promise you. I haven't even been in there today. But I'm going to tell you, the numbers we're seeing is crazy. You can take that down now if you like. They said, without a question, they said you're capped because of space. So once again, we're needing vision. Now, you know, about 3 years ago, we bought 40 acres of property. And we got a deal on it. You know, we bought it for, yeah, there it is. We bought it for $1 million. The guy kept trying to sell it at 1.6, 1.8. He went to auctions and couldn't get what he wanted for it. For years, your pastor drove by it praying, God, hold it for us, hold it for us. Hold it. That's it. That's north. It's the north side of Forney. If you don't, it's right across the street from the phase in Devonshire that they're building a new phase. Right across the street, you can see North Forney High School from it. It's if I could pick any spot in Forney, we're spoiled brats, y'all. We just came to this town. We don't deserve this. But we've got the most prime piece of real estate. When you do the demographics, you know where the growth is coming. I don't know how many of you got this in the mail. I just got this in the mail yesterday. I said, what timing is this? This is from the Forney ISD. Right now, Forney ISD is the second fastest growing school district in Texas, according to this magazine. 11,954 students we have right now. In 2029, they're projecting 20,450. That's double. Well, those kids have mamas and daddies. And those kids have souls. And those kids and those families are going to need churches. And so here's where I'm at. I would hate to know the school district's got more faith than the church. So we bought that property, and we've already had somebody offer us enough to double our money. It's a prime piece. But we know that that's for us. And so we've paid it down. Some of you may be wondering about Project 2020. Some of you still give toward that. That's in good hands. We've got an account for that, and it's been going to pay the debt down. We have already paid down, on top of all the ministry we've been doing, refuel, all the kids, the Easter egg hunts, all the outreaches, all the feeding the homeless, all the sex trafficking, paying the bills here, paying the payments, the payroll, all that. On top of all of that, we've paid $250,000 down on that property already. That's a God thing. I didn't even know if we could hold on to the property, much less pay it down. Now, once again, we're at a place that we're trying to figure out what to do. So we started praying. Our leadership began to meet. We began to pray. We began to fast. We began to seek counsel. I'm talking about pastors of great churches and even business people and even some of you people in the church I've been meeting with. And we bought the property. Now we've been meeting with banks. We've been meeting with builders. And the great announcement, however you want to take it, I think it's a great announcement. We have decided that 2020, we will be building the next Free Life campus. We have begun to do the homework. Won't you show us some renderings up there? Can you? We've already got the architectural drawings, the floor plans, the demographics on each room and nurseries. It's going to have a full state-of-the-art coffee bar, coffee shop, but it's also going to have a special needs suite, a suite for special needs. Come on, somebody. It's also going to have, listen to this, it's going to have Wi-Fi. Come on, somebody. We're actually going to be able to get our phones on here. And I told them, I said, that may not be a blessing. Now everybody be on their phones while I'm preaching. They said, they're already on their phones anyway while you're preaching. And we're going to have more bathrooms. We're not going to have to share with little Johnny, the preschooler, and they're not going to have to share with us. We're going to have bathrooms. We're going to have great parking. And isn't that amazing? Have you already showed all the pictures? Have you showed all? Come on, let's give God praise for that. Now, for about 4 years, we've been capped as far as our growth because of space, they tell us. So that same ministry, the consultants that have come in and told us and did they also did a deep financial analysis. And before I tell you what they said and what the report reflected, Johnny, show us what it's going to cost. This is where we may see people taking direct line to the bathroom and to the exit. So it's going to cost $7 million. Now, I'm going to tell you what your pastor's believing for. I got pastor friends around the country that are locked in faith with me, and I'm believing for $10 million. I'm not believing for $7 million. Because if we really believe that Ephesians 3:20 is true, he does exceedingly and abundantly. He doesn't just pay the bills. He does above and beyond all we can ask or think. So you got a preacher this morning that's not believing for $7 million. We're believing for 10. And let me tell you why you should get excited. Because every time in the history of our church that we have moved forward, God has always blessed the people so they could be a blessing to God's house. Let me tell you why you should get excited. Because we going forward, God's going to bless the house. Guess who he wants to use to do it? That's what, can you get a vision? Can you see? Can you get an imagination for what God wants to do? Not only for his church, but what he wants to do for your family and through your finances. So here's how we're going to do it. We're going to sell our current facility, possibly. If God blesses above and beyond, then we'll just keep this, and this will be a youth church. Come on, somebody. We'll keep our presence here, and, you know, Mother's Day out program in the back, full service little sandwich shop in the front. Proceeds go to missions, and I'm just playing here. I'm having some vision time. You know, this could be a rental for banquets, and could be a money maker, but for right now, the bank said, no, we ain't building that until you sell this. So this is the way it is. So $2 million there. $1 million campaign. Let me tell you how I feel about this. I believe that there's 10 people that are going to join Leanne and me, and we're going to raise $1 million by ourselves. And then the rest of the church together is going to raise another $1 million. We're going to see that double. My faith is for it. I'm not asking, chill out, put your checkbook up, put your credit card down. I'm not asking for any money today. I'm just telling you how it's going to happen. Remember a few years ago, we were in the old building. We were trying to get in this building. We were down to nothing, and we had given us a big-time seed away to help start another church. And I told the church on a Sunday morning, I said, well, we went from $12,000 to $2,000 in our building fund, and we still needed $500,000 to remodel this. And I said, church, I don't know how it's going to happen, but come back next Sunday and I'll tell you how God did it. I don't even know if I believed it. I wasn't ever so nervous. My knees weren't knocking, they were missing. I was so... But my father-in-law, who's a man of God, he said, Richie, when you said that, something broke in the spirit. And within 10 days, a man, actually that Sunday, he was sitting on the second row. His name was... Forgot his name. Anyway. Maybe a good thing, because he left mad anyway. But anyway, we got his money before he left. Just playing. God, I forgot his name. Anyway, great guy. And he met me at Olive Garden the next morning and gave me $100,000. Stranger, complete stranger. So my faith is big. It's not if, it's how is God going to do it. He's going to use us to do it. That $4 million loan, that's a lot of money, preacher. Well, look at the bottom, first of all. When it's all said and done, our debt service is going to be the same as it is now. I like that. That means I don't have to go into the church and you inviting friends. I'm having to beg for money every week. I like that number. I don't have to die of a heart attack or nervous breakdown trying to pay the payment. Like I know pastor friends that have. That's not going to be me. We're going to be in the same spot. Now money can go to ministry and not to the first bank of town. That $4 million loan is so big to me. Let me tell you why it almost makes me cry. Because when we first moved here, we needed a U-Haul truck so we could load stuff in it. You know, we were a church on the move. We had to have our nursery equipment, the chairs, all that stored through the week. And then on Sundays and Saturdays and Sundays, we would unload it. So we had to have a U-Haul truck. And I tried to get a bank to give me a $3,500 loan, and they said no. I couldn't find a bank that would finance a $3,500 truck 15 years ago. We had to take a miracle offering, and I gave $2,000 of it, and we had $3,500, and we bought a truck. That was a big deal. Now, 15 years later, we have banks knocking on our door. I mean, I got one guy that I can't shake him. He's calling me over and over wanting to give us money now. God's been good. I'm not saying that braggadocious or arrogant. I'm saying look at the faithfulness of God. Possibly we'll sell the back 20 acres of the property. If we do that, then we'll be able to pay for the front 20 and pay it off. And once again, the banks are wanting us to do that. But once again, the banks ain't God. So if God stops it from selling and we end up keeping it, then he'll have a plan, and maybe we'll call it Restoration Village for single moms. Maybe for battered women and children, and have nice little 2-bedroom homes that are stacked on top of each other out there in the back 20 and really nice. And so I don't know. I just know this: God's faithful. God knows how to take care of the bills. And you remember and I got to move quickly, but you remember the ministry I was telling you about that we've partnered with? It's called Enjoy. And Enjoy did a financial analysis, a very detailed study on each one of you. Now, we didn't reveal your names. Chill. But some of you don't give anything anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered. But what we've done and what they did is, like, for example, Andrew and Amanda would be giving unit 102. You know, Kelly and Linda 104. So they just know you by the numbers. And they did a deep, detailed analysis, a giving report on what this church can revenue in 24 months. And I was blown away when they said, Richie, this is something you can do. They got it. The question is will they give it? And so show the pie charts, if you will. They said, this is what's sitting in your church right now over the next 24 months. Now, nobody's asking one person to give $780,000. If you have it, you can give it today. You spell million with 2 L's, Mullis with 2 L's. That's not a coincidence. 780,000, a million, 1.2. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, what number do you like best? I'm going to pick the 1.2, right? And they said, yeah, and that's what you'll probably raise, but we want to make sure that we build clout with your people and your church, that they trust God and they trust you the next time you do something like this. So we know 780,000, you're going to raise it with a sneeze. Now, here's the deal. We're not taking anything lightly, and we're sure not saying, look what we can do. The question is not, can we do it? The question is, where is our faith at? Can I tell you, my faith is not Jensen Franklin has a $58 million facility. My faith ain't there. But my faith is there for a $7 to $10 million project. And so my question for you is, where's your faith? That's what Jesus asked the disciples. He said, where's your faith? Is your faith, do you believe God can pay the rent? That's why He's faithful. He's paying the rent every month. Or do you believe that God can help you own your first home? God's faithful. Or do you believe God can help you pay off your home? Or do you believe God can help you finance other homes? You see, it never stops. He never stops until we do. And so, the faithfulness of God, my question for you today is, where's your vision? Where's the imagination? Can you see what God sees, not only in the church? Well, I didn't know it was going to be about this today. Are you kidding me? Remember, don't be like the disciples and Jesus having to state it. The harvest is ready. Because they were going to miss it. They thought it was opposition. They thought it was a problem. Oh, Jesus needs my money. Jesus didn't need them to do anything. He said the harvest is ready. The question is not the harvest. The question is the heart. Do you believe me for more? And so my faith is there. I believe we can do that. The question is not can we do it. The question is what can we believe God can do through us. So show the giving grid. I debated on showing this today, but this is what they said. And I'm just going to tell you, each one of you have a booklet. I want you to take it home. I want you to read it. I want you to pray over it. But you have a commitment card inside it. Now, I know sometimes people get funny about making commitments. Now, they'll commit to a car. They'll commit to their house. They'll sometimes commit to their spouse. They'll commit, right, to paying a credit card payment or whatever. Well, here's the deal. The banks deal in the real. So I would love to not have to do this. In fact, for 4 years, the reason I haven't done this for 4 years is because every time a bank tells me we have to do something like this, I cringe. Because I don't want people to misunderstand me. And they said, but then they said this, say, Pastor, do you really want to go into a building program and not know if people are with you or not? And I said, wow, that makes so much sense. The banks deal in the real. The banks will not move forward until 204 different people have committed. That's what has to happen. They're not looking for the hero. They're not looking for the $10 million gift. We are, we'll take it, but they're not. In order to finance us a loan and give us a loan, they're looking for how many people are on board. Not is one person on board. So we're looking at 204 donors, makes up 1.2 million. Now, immediately, your mind went to the number. Every single person that I've met with so far has done this. Their mind has went to the number that they feel like they can do. Okay, sign me up for that $14 a week. I'm not insulting anybody because there's a reason why these numbers are here. Because we wanted to make it where anybody could participate. The single mom, the child in kids' life, the 8-year-old, that, by the way, the kids are going to be doing something amazing. They're going to be doing a fun run to raise some money. It's not about, how many know their money's not going to make or break us? It's about building their faith muscle and getting them involved. And so we're doing something that everybody can do. But the reality is you probably in your mind went to the number that you think you can do. That's not what this is about. This is about what not number can you do. What number do you believe that God can do through you? And remember, it's over the next 24 months. So if you're given the 100,000, it's not 100,000 plus 962 a week plus 4167 a month. That's how it's broke down. I think that goes without saying, but you never know about some of you. So I want to make sure that's clear. So you can give it one time. And here's what we're going to do on the next 21 days. We're going to start a spiritual journey together. We're going to be praying. Next week, after the second service, I want you to get ready. We're going to police escort. We're going to begin to pray over the city. We're driving to the police station, praying over the police department. Then we're going to the administration building, school administration building, superintendent's office, and praying over our school district. And then we're finishing at City Hall and praying for our government officials. Everything needs to start with prayer. We got a prayer revival lined up next week. So then next Monday night, we'll have prayer in here for 1 hour. Then the following Tuesday night, I guess that would be the 22nd, 21st, 22nd, we have 40 at the 40. 40 minutes at the 40 acres that we're going to walk and we're going to pray out there. Everybody's invited. No big I's and little U's. Everybody. If you say, I'm in. And then on Wednesday night, we're going to finish it with a big worship and prayer. And we're just going to worship God like He's already paid your bills and He's already paid the church bill. We're going to worship Him on credit. And then for the next 21 days, we have Project 1-1 that we'll stop at 3:20 every day and pray for 1 minute. And we're going to, if we do nothing else, we're going to draw closer to God and one another. We're going to pray together. We're going to fast a little bit together. We have Pastor Aaron's going to introduce a whole fasting schedule next week. And then on November 10th, and this is in your booklet, I'm pretty sure it should be. I hope it is. On November 10th, that Sunday, is our public commitment. That's when you will bring your commitment. See, I don't want emotional giving. I believe today we could raise a few bucks. But I'm not trying to do that. I want you to go home and pray and ask God, what am I going to bring and commit to your house? And on November 10th, and then December 1st, we'll reveal. It's going to be the big reveal Sunday. It's going to be an exciting time, y'all. Leanne and I are about to give the biggest offering, and we gave, and I'm not saying this because every offering matters. I just want you to know that your pastor is leading by example. The staff and leadership, leaders go first. So we're going to give the biggest. When we were in the school, we were trying to believe for a project, and Leanne and I got up in front of the church. We had about, I don't know, it was y'all's first Sunday, Mike and Paul's first Sunday, and I said, I got $50,000 in my hand of my personal money. I said, I'll give it if the rest of the church, if you'll match it. And we took $110,000 up, and we're able to pay cash for the project and move forward. Leanne and I are praying, and we're considering giving. We don't want to throw numbers around right now because I don't want anybody to be feeling like, your offering doesn't measure up, but we're going to give the biggest offering. It may mean we got to sell our house. It may mean we got to refinance our house. It may mean whatever it means, but I'm going to tell you this, it's going to hurt us. Oh, we don't want that. Oh, no. I've served God for too long. The greatest thing, I want y'all to know now when y'all talking about me around town, I want y'all to know the reason God's been good to the Mullis is because what you get, what you give. You don't give it with that intent. But it's just a law, not law, Old Testament, New Testament, the law, the principle. What you sow, that you shall reap. And the reason we have reaped so many benefits, and you have too, is because we have been sacrificial givers. And I've always said if God can get it to me, through me, He can get it to me. So, join us. And then on December 1st, we're going to reveal to you what's came in commitments, what's came in cash. The plans will be done. The bank will be solidified. And hopefully by Easter, we'll be breaking ground on our new building. It may not be, so we said, okay, we're not going to, I don't think we've published that again, have we? I think it just says 2020 to cover me. But our plan is by Easter of 2020. To go out there and have a big groundbreaking, and then 2021 we move in it, and Jensen Franklin comes and dedicates it at Refuel, and Elevation Worship is here at Refuel. Can you imagine what God is going to do? I want you to bow your heads, and I want you to close your eyes. I know if you're a first-time guest especially, it's a little unique day, but I just want to go there for a second, and I want to see if you can imagine with me. with every head bowed and every eye closed, can you get a vision of what God wants to do in your life? Imagine with me the single mom, the teenage boy, the young married couple. Imagine with me the businessman. Imagine with me the senior adult. Imagine the drug addict mom. Imagine the alcoholic father. Imagine the young girl that stays up at night and hears mom and dad fighting and the thumps of daddy's fist on mama. Imagine the down and outs and the up and ins. Imagine the kingdom-minded families, hundreds and thousands of families that will be moving to Forney in the next few months and years. And imagine we're all engaged in worship in that new facility. Can you smell it? Can you smell the new? Not just naturally, but spiritually. The freshness. He said, I want to do a new thing. Can you see it? Can you imagine with me? Can you imagine all the people? Can you imagine everything that God wants to do? Can you imagine them at the church and their lives are being restored and healed and there's hope that's given? Can you imagine? Imagine with me. Heaven. 100 years from now, you're in heaven. Imagine with me. They're lining up to shake your hand and hug your neck because you weren't a mere spectator, but you were a participator. You weren't somebody that went out and said, well, that's a great thing, I hope they do it. But you were a man, you were a woman that did more than spectate and talk about it, but you said, I'm in. And because you said, I'm in, everything changed in somebody's life. Your time, your talents, your treasure. Can you imagine all the people, heels, line, single file line, lining up to hug your neck, shake your hand 100 years from now in heaven? Can you imagine all the people? Imagine with me all of the people.